Welcome back, guys, to another video on the channel. Apologies for no West Ham versus Manchester City match reaction video. What a great point against a great side. Everyone would have taken that before the game. However, guys, we are back on the West Ham grind, creating West Ham content for you guys. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and the like button for more West Ham videos. Now, I want to talk about a topic that was sort of discussed about on XWHU Employees podcast today, and that is John Lundstram of Sheffield United. It does look like that he's going to be leaving Sheffield United in January. It looks like that he's rejected a new contract, and that Sheffield United are probably going to have to sell him in January for maybe a small fee, because otherwise he's leaving in the summer. You see this very common within club like teams now. They sell them for a couple of million 6 months before, especially like the teams like Sheffield United. Not so much the big boys, but teams like Sheffield United will probably have to cut their losses. They may value him at 10 million. They might have to sell him for 5, for example. So it does look like he's going to be leaving Sheffield United. And it does look like that David Moyes wants to pounce on that opportunity and make him a West Ham player. The XWHU said that, you know, David Moyes knows of Lundstram, sort of fits the bill of what he's trying to build at West Ham, and that he has seen him as a possible target. Now, I want to sort of talk about this transfer news, because whilst, yes, it is very early to be doing a transfer news video, we're like 2 months away from January. We're at the end of October right now. So, to be fair, doing a video maybe for January is a little bit, you know, short-fetched kind of thing. It's a while away. Do you know what I mean? However, I wanted to talk about what he can bring to West Ham, because whilst this signing, to be honest, doesn't really scream out, wow, what a signing, you know. It's not the biggest name in football, you know. However, I do think this is the right type of player that we actually need right now. I think David Moyes realises that we've only got Declan Rice and Thomas Soucek, and one injury or injury to both of them pretty much means a disaster. We've only got Mark Noble coming in to the team and Robert Snodgrass, who technically isn't even a centre midfielder. Whilst his legs are probably not really used to be playing, you know, used for centre midfield position, he has actually been playing in that position quite a while. We saw it under Pellegrini. Pellegrini utilised him as a centre midfielder at cover sometimes. David Moyes and Irvine used him in the Carabao Cup against Everton in a centre mid or CDM role. So it is something they actually think he can play in. However, if we get 1 or 2 injuries to Rice or Soucek, we are in the mud. So it does look like that David Moyes wants to use maybe the qualities of Lundstram and bring him in as another player. Is he going to be a starter? In my opinion, no. However, he's going to be a solid name to the bolster squad. I want to talk about what he actually brings to it. Firstly, his work rate. I was looking at the stats for Sheffield United, and just in the Premier League, he's one of the most hard-working players in that Sheffield United squad. And the reason why I also think this is a good signing, whilst it does match the bill and the philosophy that David Moyes is trying to bring to this football club, that, you know, you have to be hard-working. It doesn't matter how good technically you are. If you do not do the basics of football, you are not going to play games. And just touching upon that, it does look like that the Porto manager has come out and publicly said that Felipe Anderson is not working hard enough, and he will not play for Porto until he starts working hard enough. So, you know, it's not just one manager saying it. It does look like there's a core issue, mentality problem with Anderson that needs addressing. And obviously David Moyes wants to sort of shift those players out of the club and bring more like-minded people, such as Lundstram, right, who are going to work hard for the team and, you know, just give their all for the team. Whilst I think it's actually a pretty decent signing, Sheffield United at the moment, and did last season, whilst they're getting a little bit found out and they're getting a little bit unstuck at the beginning of this season, they do actually play the same formation as West Ham. There was a lot of coverage last season regarding the overlapping centre-backs with Sheffield United. They play, you know, actually a very good passing football team. There was a lot of times where I watched them against Arsenal, against Liverpool, right? And they were actually playing them off the park at certain stages during that game. They're a very good footballing team with, you know, a very good structure behind them. So he's probably moving from maybe one sort of atmosphere where everyone wants to work hard for each other. Hard work is the basics. Then if you've got the technical ability on top of that, that's when you'll fit in those kind of teams. And he's going to hopefully come over to another dressing room that we're trying to build that. And I think he's probably the right character to bring in to help us. Yes, he's going to be probably a backup He's going to be a backup. He's not going to start over Rice or Souček in my opinion. However, if one of them do get injured, say for example Thomas Souček, they're kind of like for like players. Lundstram scored 5 goals and 3 assists last season for Sheffield United. A lot of his goals were arriving late in the box. Whilst he's not as good in the air as Thomas Souček, he is very good at finding the scraps in the box. He arrives late in the box, and there's quite a few goals where he's actually arrived very late in the for a tap-in. One of the strikers have had a shot, a parry, the keeper's parried it, and he's come in and took the rebound. So for him to come into West Ham, as I said, could be a decent signing. Yes, it's not a it's not a world-class signing or someone who's going to sort of improve the starting 11. And I think it would be very hard for West Ham to improve that starting 11, especially in the 2 centre midfield positions. Okay, Souček, very good at what he does. Whilst he's not that good on the ball, he offers something that we have lacked in midfield for a long time, and that is legs, getting up and down the pitch. And as Declan Rice said in his post-match interview against Man City, he enjoys playing with Souček because of the legs he can offer him. And if Souček forever gets injured, we have someone on the bench who can do pretty much exactly the same job as Thomas Souček. Very good box-to-box player, likes to be able to run around, likes to, work hard for the team. 26 years of age as well, so he's not even in his peak yet. They say the peak for footballers is 28. So getting him for maybe a couple of £1 million, obviously I do not know how much Sheffield United actually value him. Maybe they will say to West Ham, well, we value him at 20 million, but because he's got 6 months, we'll give him you for 10. If West Ham, in my opinion, could pick this guy up for 5 or 7 million maximum, right? If we could pick him up for about 5 million, I think it's a very clever, very astute signing. Something that a player that matches what David Moyes needs to build at West Ham, wants to build at West Ham, because there's no good, having a good starting 11 that fit the core values of what he's trying to build. Work hard for the team, do your jobs, disciplined, but on the break, you've got to be willing to sort of, cover distance and able to, be involved in passages of play. And if you've got people on the bench, for example, Anderson, who do not sort of match that philosophy and those core values that you're trying to build, then it could sort of, it could be sort of a disaster. Does that make sense? Like someone will come onto the pitch and then it just doesn't fit right. Suddenly you've got your left winger who isn't tracking the left wing back and helping the left wing back track another winger as much as what Fornals could possibly do or Ben Rama could possibly do. So, yes, it is a little bit premature about possibly talking about a transfer, but it does look like that Lundstram could be one of West Ham's first signings of the January transfer window. Yes, it's only gospel. X did say that David Moyes has looked at him. Now he's actually rejected a contract. He said he expects West Ham to go in with a formal bid closer to the time. And I think, whilst, yes, he's not the biggest name in the world, however, it would probably take a lot to improve those 2 central midfield positions. And I think him probably having a squad status or maybe a rotation, and considering the options we do have, if one of those 2 get injured in Rice or Souček, in Noble and, Snodgrass, whilst I think both are technically decent players, they just don't have the legs at the moment to cut it in the Premier League, and especially in the Premier League midfield. And that is what we need right now. We need a squad. And if David Moyes is going to sort of build a squad, 5 million or 7 million, even 10 million is probably the going rate for a squad player. I know Liverpool paid 45 million for a squad player. So probably 10 million for West Ham is probably our level of paying for a squad player, 10 to 12 million for a squad player. So John Lundstram been linked with West Ham. It'd be interesting to see what, if he was to come to West Ham in January, what he could bring. That is just my thoughts about how I feel that signing would go down. I think it would be a very clever signing, not the biggest name in the world. However, will do a job, covers ground, similar to Thomas Souček, whilst not as good in the air, but does score some goals. 5 goals and 3 assists last season, and is injury-wise, he's very reliable. He played a lot of games last season in the Premier League and has played a lot of games so far this season for Sheffield United. So, guys, that's going to be the end of the video. We are back creating West Ham videos. We're going to have a match reaction for the West Ham-Liverpool game. I'll see you there in a couple of days' time. I'll catch you in a bit. Like the video, subscribe for more West Ham content. See you later.